Good morning, evening, afternoon. Masati here. Hope you are doing fantastic. Wow, what a start for the New Year's, huh, guys? Crazy, crazy stuff. A lot of weather pattern changes or transformations, as I would call it. And before I get into effortless success, steps on setting up goals, because a lot of times when we set goals by the end of January, most people have well gone back to their old self, old standards, old situation. What's up with that, right? So we're going to talk about that. But like I said, a lot of transformations, a lot of changes happening at a universal level. Hence, the world. Earth is shifting, it's transforming, it's morphing itself to a new version of itself because the universe, the purity wave, as I used to call it back in the day, the purity wave dictates that, well, we have to upgrade, we have to change, we have to come up to a higher version of what time and the way time and space works. Time and space, it's just like any other great invention. It always has to update itself. It always has to renew itself. What we call, a state of renewal. Nature is always in a state of renewal. Hence, Earth is coming into a renewal. And this is where you see like the California fires, massive rains in Costa Rica, and everywhere else. A lot of again, a lot of weather pattern changes, and some people might go, well, it's because we're polluting the the earth too much. We've got too much carbon. Uh, our carbon footprint's too big, and so on like that. It's true. Yeah, it's true, but nothing really compared to, that's very, very minimal compared to, say, what the earth can say push out or send out, just like on a volcanic eruption. So a lot of that, and this is where the California fires come through, is where, and it's sad that so many people are losing their homes, but Everybody wanted renewal, right? Everybody wanted a change, and we're getting it at a universal level. Again, everything is changing. Uh, a lot of people who do want change, they don't want to change. They want their environment to change. But that's not the way nature works. Or that's not the way XI works. If you're here in XI, you make the changes and then your environment changes. What most people do, especially like in goal setting, and as we'll get deeper into goal setting, but most people, what they do is they don't change, they expect their environment to change. Again, the universal patterns does dictates that it's the opposite. It's asked backwards. We literally have to transform who we are on the inside. We have to shift, say, our consciousness, and then the environment changes according to our consciousness. So we dictate the reality that we are creating. Right? And again, we'll get into that. So, what does that have to do with the LA fires? Well, everybody wanted change, and that's what we're getting. Right? Everybody wanted change, but if you go back and look at nature, nature has forest fires all the time, right? Not all the time. Nature has forest fires. Let me reset that. Nature has forest fires, and then what happens? Looking, and what happens is that over time, the forest gets, it gets dirty. It's got a lot of, dead branches, dead vegetation, and then it cleans itself up. It's not only about, say, the deadness of, the trees, it's also the deadness of the frequencies. There's at a very, very deep level, you've got an infrastructure in the forest, right? And that infrastructure literally has to be updated. So the way nature does it is through floods, volcanic activity, land masses moving, um, what we might call global warming. Fires is a really good way just to clean everything up, and then the infrastructure starts anew again. Right? So that's the underlying cause. Now, some people might go, well, um, there's pedophilia, Hollywood, so much darkness in Hollywood, and yes, that's true. That is absolutely true. But the bigger reason is that everything has to be cleaning up in time. Or what happens from what I'm seeing, like some of you who have fantastic abilities, again, comment in, like you walk in, especially if, like, say you go to Europe, right? Thousands of years old, you walk into a building and people can pick up the vibe or what happened, like, like 100 years ago. Deja vu is like that. You walk into a building, it's like, whoa, I've been here before. Or it's like, especially if there's like heinous crimes or, dark events, especially if, in history, somebody walks into a room or a place, it's like, oh, what's this darkness? What's this heaviness that I feel? How many of you, by the way, go through that? Right? So that's what's happening. Earth itself holds on to all these memories. I call them energy prints, uh, energy imprints. As a note, by the way, this isn't just me talking about it. So I work on quantum computers, and they actually have a term for it. I forgot what it was, but they literally have, like, I think it's called time imprints in quantum, in quantum computers, and those time imprints affect the quantum computer. Those are, say, the chaos or the vibrations, not just, solar flares or movements of the building, but those are the vibrations that affect the quantum computers at the electron level. So what does nature do? Well, it's like, well, it cleans it up, and that's what we're seeing right now. So unfortunately, it is a sad loss, but we can't hold on to our old stuff. Okay? And who knows? It's a great opportunity, by the way. I know there's sad loss, there's a lot of loss on there, but there's a great opportunity, though, for like new rebuilding of infrastructure, which is fantastic, right? Because that city's old. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's old, right? We got to let go of the old, bring in the new. That's what we all wanted. That's what we're getting as a whole, as a humanity. This is we don't expect it like a lot of you who do XI. We don't expect, we expect our changes, our transformations in our way. But again, it doesn't work that way. In this case, we're getting we're transforming the way nature should, because we all are going back to its original form of who we are. Okay, so again, hence, it's unfortunate, it's sad, but that's the way nature cleans up. That's the way you've all cleaned up, by the way. It's not to your, say, makings or even likings for some of you. It's just the way nature has to clean it up, because you wanted to be your perfect, best possible self. If you knew how to do that, you would have been that way already. But since most individuals don't know how to do that, well, nature comes in. It's like, hey, this is the way we've done it. This is the way we've done it for, a trillion years. And this is the way you should do it too, because it's been tested, it's been proven over and over and over again for trillions of years. So we're going back to that advanced technology, not the archaic technology that we have here in as a human species. All right, so how does that tie into effortless success? Well, the way we create success nowadays, again, it's horrendous. The Tony Robbins archetype, where it's just like push, push, go, go, more motivation. If you want to get something done, you just you got to be a gladiator, and you just push and push and push. Now, Tony has helped millions of people. I'm not denying that. Really, really fantastic. But we need to expand. We need to improve on that philosophy, or how we create wealth. There's a lot of individuals, though, from Tony's camp that actually come into to XI going, hey, I love Tony. That's all fantastic, but I need something more. I need that fulfillment, that deeper understanding of who we are. So whether it's Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, all those fantastic individuals who have, again, fantastic knowledge. They know the logistics on how to create success and motivation at the surface level, right? This reality. But without the proper foundation that XI gives you, okay? So they work on, say, this half. I work on this half. And by the way, nobody else works on this foundational half. Again, that's getting back to, say, the advanced technology that nature uses to create success. So today we're going to be talking about effortless success. It's not, you still have to do the work, but I call it effortless success for a couple of reasons that I'll get into in just a couple minutes, by the way. Because some of you will go, oh, great, effortless success. I don't have to do a damn thing. Okay. All right. So you still have to do a lot of things. You still have to do the work, but there's a big difference to it. But I want to go through the process of, well, the hidden cost of traditional goal setting, what XI's dimensional goal setting is, which is a very new paradigm. And then three, the benefits or unlocking, say, exponential growth through raising your XIQ, your exponential intelligence quotient level. All right. Again, so the old process, or the hidden cost of traditional goal setting, by the way. Okay, everybody uses it. If you look at anybody, any interview, any autobiography, if you ask any any individual who's been highly successful, they'll go, what did you do for your success back in the olden days? They would go, you had to work your ass off, you had to goal set, you had to push, you had to sacrifice, all those things. Well, it's okay. You get the result. You absolutely get the result. And for those people who do it right, a lot of people, again, over 80%, don't get the result. There's a reason for that, right? But for those people who do, they get the result. But out of that, say, 20% that do get results, I would say less than 1% is literally truly fulfilled and complete, because what they've done is sacrificed who they are to achieve their goals. If you don't believe me, look at highly successful individuals, and how many highly successful individuals committed suicide. Okay, because most of us think it's like, hey, if we have success, and goal setting, by the way, I'm just talking about, say, physical success, but there's also the spiritual side as well. Right? It's the same thing. because spiritual success, money success, whatever that you desire, it's the same facet of goal setting that society or the human species uses to create goals or to accomplish or achieve goals. All right. So in this case, well, you get unfulfilled. Traditional goals often leave you a hollow feeling, um, because external achievements fail to align with your inner purpose. Right? We always have to go back to our natural, say, genetics of who we are. In our genetics, we're programmed, just like nature is programmed to clean itself up. Okay? And no, nature is designed to propagate itself, and it'll do everything to always optimize the moment, the next moment. Humans don't do that, by the way, because of free will. Free will fucks up a lot of things. Okay? We'll talk about that on another Masati on Sunday. But what most people do is literally they destroy themselves. They feel empty as they achieve their goal. How many of you, by the way, and how many of you comment in? But if you look at, there's a Joe Rogan special. Um, it was a long time ago, a couple of years back. They were talking about all the great entertainers. They had overnight success and then they killed themselves. Why does that happen? Okay. Kind of crazy, right? They got what they wanted. Okay. For goals, no matter what, and this is the reason why, no matter what goal you have, no matter what purpose you have, moment by moment, you are always defining who you are. If you want to become wealthy, if you want to find God, if you want, I don't know, a child, if you want to cure cancer, it's got nothing to do with the outward objective of your goal. Okay? I'll say that again. It's got nothing to do with your outward objective of your goal. Okay. Unless you're lying. So it doesn't matter what your goal is. Okay? And that's the key. As long as you are procreating yourself, a new version of yourself, moment by moment, I call these frame rates. Every frame that of time and space that you're creating yourself in, every moment should be a better version of you. But what people do is they sacrifice forward. What that means is sacrificing forward is like, I'm going to sacrifice my presence or my essence of who I am to achieve a physical, say, or accumulate something physical. Whenever you do that, it becomes unfulfilling. Your goal becomes unfulfilling for you. And it starts to create an endless pursuit. This is where those individuals, right? It's like, gosh, you know what? I climbed this mountain. I got to go climb the next mountain. I made $1 million. Now I need to make 1 billion. Now I need to make 1 trillion. It's like, I did 40 ayahuasca ceremonies. I need to do another 40 to define who I am. It's never enough. And the reason why is because you sacrificed forward, not backwards. Okay? So what this happens is, again, it creates a cycle of needing more and more and more to feel accomplished. It's never good enough. You could be at the top of your game and it won't feel good. Look at David Goggins. Again, fantastic individual. Not knocking him down. He's got amazing. He's had amazing, success. But his drive is literally to define who he is. So if he achieves a goal in a very short time, and by the way, comment in how many of you have achieved a goal, and then in a very short time, the desire just wanes. It's like, oh shit, it's not that big. You wanted something, you bought something, right? Kind of like buyer's remorse. People buy something, that's a goal. They reach their end, and then what happens? It's like, shit, they get buyer's remorse. Again, it could be because of the product, but most likely it's because it didn't fulfill their actual need. Right? And as a side note, in today's society, have you ever noticed that we just run through a lot of things? We want the next thing, the next technology in this case, right? The next thing to do, the next movie. We got to go do this and we got to go do that. The reason why is because time frames are again compressing. So there's more time frames in say an hour. Right? It's like frame rates on a computer. Right? We're probably at say 30 seconds per frame to broadcast this. Okay, so in life, there's frame rates. And I talk a lot about it. I'm not going to get too much into the science, but what happens is that what we're doing is we're sacrificing forward for those objects. Okay, so here's the deal: the reason why you want more and more, because whenever there's something new, whether again a new object, a new relationship, a new whatever that's around you, it pulls you into the present moment in time. Extreme versions of this are people who cut themselves, people who hit themselves, people who abuse themselves to come into the moment. Right? They start to feel distorted, disoriented, and they start to get panicky, anxious. What do? Right? They cut themselves. The pain always pulls them into, say, current states. That makes sense for you. Take a breath in. We'll make this an experiential show for you. So, let's help you release all that. By the way, tomorrow we've got XI Code, Blueprints to Wealth and Healing. It's a 10-day hyper meditation that'll accelerate whatever you've done with Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, Gary Vee, and all those great individuals. Help you accelerate, reset it at from a different perspective. Right? All right. Somebody's talking about the next husband. Yeah, exactly. The next husband, the next spouse, the next woman, right? It's crazy, right? We want more. We want more. For guys, like Andrew Tate, right? It's like one woman is enough. You have to have two or three, and you just keep cycling them over and over. It's not the kind of man, by the way, that you want, right? That's not the kind of say man you want to define yourself as, right? Like the way Andrew Tate. That's an old standard. That's a very, very old standard of say wealth or that manliness, right? Again, he's got a lot of great content, Andrew Tate, but again, we could expand it into this new consciousness that we're coming into because all that stuff does not work out. It does not work out for you. And if you don't believe me, look around you. Look at the world. Look at the financial structures. Look at the religious structures. Look at the political structures. It's all based on, say, goal setting, by the way, right? We need to do this. That way it'll solve society's woes. And we do all that. And it's like, well, fuck, it didn't work out. And it gets worse and worse and worse. All right. So take a breath in again. All right. So, and then some people, they go, fuck, you know what? I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to, what do they call that? Submit my will and just let go. You can't do that either. Okay. Because then you're like in a river of consciousness with no rudder and no motor. You're just like flowing all over the place and you'll get taken wherever the tides and currents take you. That's not a good thing either. So, and he goes, well, I'll just leave it to God. It's like, and God's pushing back at you going, fuck, I gave you all the stuff that you need. What the hell more do you want? You wanted free will. It's like, okay, go create whatever you want. Why are you coming back to me going, hey, I need help? It's against God to help you because it's free will. Get it, guys? So either way doesn't work. So how do you do it properly? You sacrifice backwards. Right. All right. So in today's world, what people do, sacrifices are made. Right? And sacrifice goes, well, I don't want to sacrifice anything. You actually do. You want to use sacrifice at the first principle level. Okay. So BlackRock has a goal for Bitcoin. Will that work out? I posted something on Telegram. So if you haven't joined me on Telegram, guys, it's I think it's XI with Masati on Telegram. I talk about Bitcoin, financial structures. So yeah, that's another subject. We'll talk about that some other time. All right. So sacrifices. Okay, sacrifices made. What we do is people they sacrifice their best version of who they are. Right? They sacrifice their essence. There's your timeless self, or someone you call it your spirit, or if you're the sciencey or the atheist type, you know, it's the possibilities of who you are, the grandness of who you are, however you don't want to define it. Spirit, I call it the timeless self. And scientists, and again atheists, call them their potential, right? Their unreleased potential, right? Just like energy, right? You've got, say, potential that hasn't been used, right? That aspect of you, right, is what you're giving up. That aspect of you is what you're sacrificing to achieve something. Okay. Your genetic makeup, take a breath in again. Just notice your ribs, your chest, your lungs, your heart. Okay. Somebody's got it right. Erica. Beautiful. Beautiful student. Yes. So what most people do, right? Your genetic makeup is to enhance that potential that you are. You're not supposed to use it up. You're supposed to enhance it. Okay. As a child, you're say at 100% full, but over time, by the time you're age 7, you literally have destroyed and you've shut off that source that energizes you, creates you. So you have to create your own energy, your own frequency. By the way, okay. So in this case, what most people do is they sacrifice their potential, or they sacrifice their essence of who they are. So they feel empty. When you achieve a goal, it's the finish line. You basically go, well, how did I do? Right? You finish a race. What do? What's the first thing that you do when you finish a race? Finish a game, finish a contest, finish a year, whatever. It's like, how much money did I make this year? How fast did I go do it? What was my time? Okay. So that's what goal setting is. It's like, as soon as you achieve that thing, boom, it's a time moment, you get your score. And then people look at the score, it's like, holy fuck, I thought this race or this achievement of a goal is going to help me. Like, I thought it would raise my XIQ level, my exponential intelligence level. I thought it would raise my presence of who I am. I thought it would raise my potentiality of who I am. And it's like, but wait, it cost me all this stuff. It's like, now I'm more in the hole than what I was when I started. This is where a lot of successful individuals, especially who are very spiritual or religious, when they get old, and how many of you know these types of individuals, right? Highly religious, they're pushing the church, they're pushing their religion, they're pushing their spiritual practice. As they get old, they get so fucking mad, they get so ornery, they get, like grumpy old men, and even worse, right? That's why that happens. It's like, hey, I invested all this, but it was a lie. I feel more empty than before. There's a lot of successful individuals that I work with today. It's like, shit, Moss, I've got a highly successful company. I've got this, especially women. It's like, I don't even feel like a woman anymore, because they've given, again, your essence, your potential of who you could be, the best possible version, for something that has no intrinsic value. It's physical. When you die, you can't take it with. Your essence that you gave away, you sacrificed, that's what you're taking with. And that's what's the most important thing. But you give it away. You sold yourself out to achieve what you want. Right? Some people actually, the coin, what, selling your soul to the devil. How many people feel that as well? How many of you feel that? Well, some of you, you got married, right? You wanted to get married so bad, and then as soon as you got married, it's like, oh shit, I found out what the hell happened. You realize what happened, right? A lot of people, like, say, Jeff Bezos and those types of individuals. Again, I'm not saying all, but it's like, shit, I want that next billion. And you could see it in their face. You could see it in their demeanor that they sold themselves out. We're coming back to a time where we have to come back to our natural, say, goal setting mechanism of why we're here. That's the only reason we set goals. Okay. All right. So what happens with those individuals, it's very destructive when you sacrifice forward, when you sacrifice your potential, your spirit, your essence, your timeless self. It destroys relationships. It perpetuates societal and environmental harm, because what we're doing is like you achieve something and it decays rapidly when you achieve it, right? Time wise, frequency wise. So what do? Just like those people who have to harm themselves or hurt themselves to come back into time, and that's where they feel powerful and complete and in control. Well, as a whole, people who, who create massive amounts of success, and I'm not just talking about money, by the way. I talked about religions. I talked about, oh, I want a relationship. I want kids. A lot of women want kids. The only reason they want kids is because kids put them in the moment, right? They're always present. They're always present. They're always in the moment. You have to run after them. You have to chase after them. And then those women, they have kids. And then after a while, it's like, shit, I'm sacrificing myself for my kids, because those kids aren't going to put you in the present moment. You lost your potential having the kids. It doesn't work out. It's not about the kids. It's not about your spiritual values. It's not about the amount of money or whatever else that you want, intelligence or anything like that. It's what you did, what you paid. Okay. I would call them like time coins or XI coins. How much did you pay, or how much literally did you pay for what you have physically? Okay. It's crazy shit, right? And this is why people go, success isn't fulfilling. Well, of course, it's not fulfilling, right? It's just an illusion of success. Again, this is where we start to destroy economies. This is where we destroy the earth. And the earth is going, hey, no more, no more. And it's just taking over, by the way. So all that is just literally an illusion of success. I call it an illusion because it's not real. This physical reality that we think is so real, it's not real. Trust me, I've been on the other side several times, not just through my three near-death experiences, through journeys, through deep state meditation. I've been on the other side. How many of you, by the way, have raised your XIQ and you get to see what real value is? How many of you have done that? Right? Comment in. Take a breath in and notice your rib structure, and sit confident, complete. Okay. All right. How many of you, again, have gone through, raising your XIQ, and you go, oh, I know what real value is. And then the things that you have more value to you. I'm not exactly. So many people. Exactly. I'm not the type that goes, "Oh, you need to stay away from that. You need to go in a cave and let go of all the luxury." Fuck that. That doesn't work either, right? Because you've lost your identity. You've lost, again, your potential, right? So in this case, that's an illusion of success. Even when goals are achieved, they fail to address the deeper needs for connection, purpose, and fulfillment. All right. So what do we do for dimensional goal setting? Okay, we sacrifice backwards. Okay, so an introduction to dimensional goal setting, and this is what we're going to be talking about on that 10-day starter package, right? For you for the new year, you want to start your goal setting, your achievements in the proper way. Otherwise, it's one, it doesn't work out well for most people. Two, you destroy your potential of who you are. Okay. So this technique, dimensional goal setting, it's a technique that aligns with the XI principles to create goals rooted in multidimensional awareness. Okay, so the tools that we use, sure, we use spatial referencing, we use frequency alignment, holistic fulfillment. It allows you to get youthful vitality, and it also has this alchemical property. I'll talk about that in just a second. But some of you know about spatial referencing. I believe it's the most powerful tool, or powerful. I wouldn't want to call it an invention, but the most powerful concept that you could ever use. Okay, because it's the tool of how the universe creates itself. All right. So, do you remember when I said that we don't change, but our environment changes? Okay. So in this case, you're in an environment, say, I'll give you an extreme example. You grew up in an environment that was torturous, right? It was abusive. It wasn't the best condition for you. And then what happens is like, well, I'll make a lot of money, or I'll go through a spiritual path. All right. So this is what happens. Okay. You didn't change yourself. You changed your environment. Okay. You changed your practice, your belief system, again, which is outside of your frequency or consciousness. You change how much money you make, but you're in the same environment. Okay. Say that you're in a cage, you're in a jail cell, right? Or you're in the desert. Let's make it that. You're in the desert. Okay. You built a home in the desert. There's no nutrition in it. And then you go, well, I'll bring in plants. It's like they did like Dubai, Las Vegas. I'll bring in plants, and then all these resources. Plant money, people, whatever. But you have to sustain that yourself because it's not a natural element for abundance. Okay, so dimensional goal setting is like, wait a second. Okay, the way you render yourself. Okay? Or in this case, like I was saying, if you're in an abusive relationship or you grew up being tormented, abused, taken advantage of, it's like, well, I'll make a lot of money, or I'm going to spiritual practice, and then I'll be good. But then what happens to those people? They get more torment, they get more abused, or they become abusive. Either way, okay, because they didn't change their environment. So success is a magnifier. Any type of success is a magnifier. Okay. So, and that's why if you didn't change your essence of who you are, if you didn't raise your XIQ level, it'll just feed you more of what you want to escape from. Another reason why you want to have dimensional goal setting. The cool thing about it is the logistics for conventional goal setting is very similar. Okay, you still have to work, you still have to be punctual, you still have to do all those things, that Gary Vee and all those individuals talk about. Yes, very important, but you're doing it with a different purpose. Okay? One, your purpose is not to achieve X. Your purpose is to expand who you are. Again, you put more coins, time coins, in, say, your potential. That's what you're looking for. So dimensional goal setting is like, hey, in the desert, it's a dry mind. There's nothing there. So in dimensional goal setting, in this dimension, you have to sustain yourself. You still get abused. You still get distorted. It's like living in a bad neighborhood, and you park, like we're here in Mexico, right? You don't want to drive an expensive car here because fuck, they'll rob you. Simple as that. So no matter how much you create, say, things will get taken away from you in this environment. Does that make sense for you? What you want to do is go into another environment. I'm not talking about a physical environment, although that helps, but I'm talking about a multidimensional realm. A multidimensional realm where you are another avatar of yourself. In this dimension, you're brokenhearted, you have no money, no spiritual connection, whatever. You're rendering, you're creating, you're spending a lot of your time coins, you're sacrificing yourself to be in this dimension of self. In this case, it's like, hey, an XI, and that's what we're going to do in the 10 days here. 10-day hyper meditations coming up tomorrow. It starts tomorrow, by the way. What you want to do is like, hey, I'm over here. There's another version of myself. Keyword is another version of myself, not your old version. The old version that's sick, shortchanged, have lost your potential. There's another version of me in another, say, dimension of space and time, hence dimensional goal setting. Like, oh, I need to go to that area, and this is where you can let go of your genetic patterns, your distortions, and all those things. And when you step into that, okay, the wealth that you want, you become the person that can hold the wealth that you want. It's an amazing process. right? And what we do, we use spatial referencing. Spatial referencing basically tells you it's like, hey, initial spatial referencing. Some of you have gone through it. Introductory spatial referencing is like, the window's there. I'm over here. The door is in front of me. My chest is over here. It literally allows you to understand where you are in in space and time. And it goes beyond, say, the concept of your mind. People talk about mindfulness. People talk about being present. You're not really present because you don't know, say, the dimension of time and space that you're creating yourself in. Okay. And it's really, really important. Again, it allows you to understand how you're rendering or creating the environment that you're in. Once you understand, it's like, holy shit. How many of you have woken up, by the way? It's like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm running all these patterns. How many of you have gone through that process? Again, as you raised your XIQ, right? That's what you want to do. That's what dimensional goal setting is about. It also aligns, it gives you a frequency alignment. Because when you're in a dimension of self that, well, is more aligned with your higher self, with your potential, what happens is that when you achieve the goal, again, it doesn't matter what your purpose or what your goal is, but when you achieve the goal, it allows you to invest in yourself. So what you're doing is you're sacrificing backwards. You sacrifice your old patterns of who you are. You sacrifice the distortions of who you are. You sacrifice, say, the traits that allowed you to get abused back in the day. Again, I'm not saying it's your fault, but I'm just saying there's a pattern for you to get abused, get distorted, get shortchanged. You let go, you sacrifice the old self to allow a new version of yourself to come in. Okay? When you do that, it has alchemical properties. So the way God would create things, right? It creates, say, I don't know, say an animal. It also creates the environment. It actually creates the environment, which then creates the animal. Okay, whether it's a tiger, a worm, whatever it might be, it doesn't really matter. That's the way that's the way God created humans as well. Look at this earth. It's plentiful. Okay? Created the environment and then it created the species. Okay. We want to use that same principle. It's worked for billions of years. I don't know how many millions of species or what, species, rocks, whatever it is. It's worked out really, really well, right? What we do is like we change our environment, we don't change ourselves. It doesn't work out that way, right? So what nature does is it starts to render the environment. And when you're in that purpose of creating a new way of, say, creating yourself, enhancing the species, it has alchemical properties. What means that, and a lot of you have gone through this. How many of you, again, comment in, who's raised your XIQ, how many of you have gone through the process and it's like you've changed your frequency, right? Your personal frequency signature. And then what happens is like things just start showing up for you. Now, those are alchemical properties, right? It just doesn't transform your life, but but also the energy and the relationships in your environment. It's crazy stuff. That's how we create. That's how we create this alchemy. So when your intentions are complete with your deeper purpose of who you are, okay, you're great creators. What happens is that the universe flows with you and gives you more of what you need and want. Because what you need and want are aligned to your true purpose of why you're here. So you can achieve $1 billion, you can connect to whatever, higher understanding of who you are. It doesn't really matter. Okay? And I was just talking to a friend of ours here, talking about religions and spiritual aspects and so on. And I was telling her, I was like, well, XI, it doesn't really matter what you believe in. No matter, it doesn't matter what religions you believe in or anything like that. Okay. The concepts of who you are. It doesn't matter at all because those are all physical properties. Okay. It just doesn't matter. Most people are stuck, especially as you'll see in the near future. The next big thing is about religious value structures and so on. Financial structures are, breaking down. Political structures, again, they're transforming, especially with Trump coming in. The next wave is coming through is religious structures. I would say by about July, August, you're going to see a lot of people going back to their faith and starting already. They're going to hold on to something familiar. It's not going to work out. Not going to work out. If it did, if it was going to work out, it would have worked out already. Right? But people are going to, I'm going to try that one last time. I'm going to dig harder, go into it more. It's not going to work out for you. Right? But that's the goal setting that people will have. I'm going to go back to my old self, go back to my old religions, and then it's going to change me. Sorry, guys, it's not going to do it. Okay? You've got to expand into the proper versions of those religions. So in XI, it doesn't matter what religion, what concepts, what belief systems you have. You can start where you are, because that's the way nature does it as well. But as you raise your XIQ, as you start to develop who you are, as you start to understand the potential of who you are, the truth comes in. The truth comes in. And this is where you start to elevate your XIQ. So dimensional goal setting, it's not just giving you, say, physical, say, wealth or luxury or abundance that you need, or intelligence, whatever you need. It also raises your XIQ quotient. An XIQ quotient basically allows you to understand the consciousness level that you're at and allows you to, again, operate higher levels of awareness, higher levels of understanding, higher levels of alchemy. And when you do that, you propagate. And when you're at the higher levels of consciousness, this is where your actions or your say passion to achieve your goal, it creates literally a vortex for you. And as you say fall into that vortex, other people fall into that vortex as well. And other people push you to higher and higher states because as a whole, as a species, we want to elevate our consciousness. And that's what we do. And then nature or God, rewards us for that because, hey, you're on the right track. You're creating new possibilities for what humans could be. And then it literally creates this vortex and it keeps you rising higher. It pulls other people in and they awaken more and more. And this is where we, again, start to create fantastic technologies that don't destroy us. I've said in the past that smart technologies aren't so smart if they're destroying the users that they're intended for. That's not a smart technology, right? It's artificial. It's artificial, just like artificial intelligence. Don't want to get into that, but if it's called artificial intelligence, it's created by humans, which is artificial. Again, it limits you. It limits your potential. So use artificial intelligence again to enhance your XIQ, not destroy your XIQ. All right. So back to goal setting. So once you get aligned with abundant frequencies, you start to achieve clarity. You start to achieve purpose. You start to, well, have a fulfillment because it's a natural extension of why you're here, which elevates your consciousness, right? In this case, you have exponential growth. And as you have exponential growth, you raise your XIQ level. And this is where you become, say, wealthy, but you didn't destroy yourself. You didn't destroy your families. You didn't destroy nature. You become more youthful. And it's not just theory. There's tons of people, high level people, top 40, top 50 Fortune 50 companies that I work with. The CEOs, the owners, founders of those companies. It's like, shit, man. They're younger than ever. They have more time to do what they really need to do rather than all the grunt work. I was talking to this good friend of mine a couple years ago, and it's like, Moss, you know what? I used to prepare, gosh, like 3 hours for a half-hour meeting. Crazy, right? Doing all the research, all that stuff. It's like now I don't even prepare. I know what to say. I know the thoughts, the ideas, the concepts, again, true alchemy starts to come in. It's like, I am better versed in my industry, and the knowledge that I have is new. It's not rehashed knowledge. Right? He does do a little research, but he goes, now it only takes me like 5 minutes to research and do all that. And I know what to say. And my company is going more smoother than ever before. And I'm not stressed out. Okay? So it's amazing, right? So that's what dimensional goal setting can do. And again, this is where you start to use goal setting the way it was intended. Most people go, again, don't, that goal setting didn't work. Money didn't work. Whatever didn't work. It's not, it's not that those things didn't work. We just didn't do it right. And the coolest thing is, as we end, is that, well, we have a ripple effect. As you say, expand who you are, it pulls more people in, and this is where we start to say shift and. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and scan some people. Let's do it really quickly. It'll take about 5-10 minutes. If you need to be scanned, we'll talk about, say, what's been holding you back. Okay, and that's the biggest key. Again, most people don't understand why they want to create or achieve something. And this is where effortless success, that's why I call it effortless success, by the way. Okay? As you come into that momentum, okay, as you come into that momentum of who you are, it actually becomes effortless because nature provides for you. You still have to do the work, but it becomes more and more, say, euphoric, more and more expansive because you've sacrificed the old shit that's been burdening you, like holding you down. Okay. All right, so let's go into the scans. Magnetic soul scan, please. So what's holding you back, hon, is that you have this identity that let's see, it's like you have an identity that if I did, and again, goes back to goal setting. My next version is going to be better than where I am. So you're never really satisfied with where you are today, okay? Because the next version and the next version is better. So when you get to that next version, it's like, oh, I need something new. So it's always like you need something new. You need this, you need that. So in that case, what you're doing is literally perpetuating, because it's not what you achieve, it's not the experience, but how you achieve the experience and the purpose behind it. Right. So your purpose is to define who you are. Right. Your purpose is, or your essence, or your drive is, I need to escape the moment because basically when you were younger, it was dangerous for you, or it wasn't the best. It wasn't, say, the nutritious environment that you wanted. So it's like, shit, the next moment will provide for me. Right. The next moment will stop the pain. So, and that's your drive, by the way. So in this case, you could make $1 billion and you go, shit, you know what? That next billion is going to be good for me. So in this case, let's heal the moment for you, hon. Take a breath in. What is it? Magnetic soul. Take a breath in. And let's put you back into the moment where it's safe to be in the present. And then what you can do, you can expand into who you are, not escape into who you want to be. Right? We'll go to, let's see, Karine, Karine. Please scan me. By the way, I'm not psychic or anyway. I see algorithms, even through, through chat. I don't need to know your name or anything like that. We all have these abilities, by the way, because I'm sensing, say, the multidimensional realm that you're on. We teach that in Healing Mastery, by the way, right? All right, you understand the person's vibe, to put it in short. So, Karine, please scan me. So, for you, um, um, it's like when I see your mind, it doesn't race, but it just seems like it's multiple versions. So, in this case, you might have you might have this propensity to not be able to make up your mind, or if you do make up your mind, yeah, if you do make up your mind, it's like, shit, did I make the right choice? Or, if you get into a date situation, or it's like, God, should I go out with this person or not? So it's always that questioning. And the purpose or the underlying reason for that is because you're creating yourself in like, it's really, the science behind it is kind of complicated. Let's see, how would you, I see it very clearly, but it's like hard to explain it because it's outside, say, of the concepts of this reality. It's almost like you're skidding through time. It's like back in the day, the mouse tails that and when the pointer, right? It had a tail. So basically, that's how you create through time. So what that means is that there's a version of you in this frame. There's a version of you in this frame. There's a version of you in this frame. So it's always like dragging behind, just like that mouse tail, and that's what distorts you. Okay. So if you did create success in this reality, for example, abundance, and again, abundance could be love, attention. Seems like there's not a lot of attention on you, or wasn't there in the back in the day. So what'll happen for you is like you stop yourself, you create yourself in the next moment, but you hold on to this moment just in case the next moment is not safe for you. It's kind of like, well, I'm going to step into something, and kind of like stepping on ice. I don't know if it's sure. So I'll just keep one foot back on solid ground and, tap the ice, see if it's okay. And if it's okay, well, I'll walk forward. If it's not, I'll walk backward, which is fine physically, but you can't go walk backwards in time. So that's the problem. It's like you think, I'll stay here and I'll step into the next moment just slightly. I'm just going to try it out. If it's safe, if it's not safe, I'll just stay back. It's like, well, shit. Time keeps moving forward. So anyway, so just helping you understand that where the next moment, okay, is safe for you. And that way you can say create or manifest safely as well. Uh, all right. And again, comment in, guys, the accuracy. Again, I know I'm very, very accurate. But it's not for me. It's for those individuals, especially on healing mastery, or you all to go, shit, there's where did he tap into that? And it allows you the possibilities to tap into the same, say, or have the same gifts as I do. All right. Um, Prophet Pioneer Path. May I have a scan, please, on my progress? Yes. So you are aligning yourself. You're putting your ducks in a row. It's like you're packing, for a trip. And it's like, okay, I got to pack this, and I got to pack this, and I got to pack this. And now what you're doing is like, you want to make sure that you packed everything, okay, before you go on this trip. And then it seems like you're leaving something and you're never going to go back to it. Okay. It's like moving out of a house, right? Once you move out of that house, you never go back to it. So you want to make sure you took everything for you. So on this trip that you're on, this new venture or this new life that you have, you wanna make sure that you pack properly. And then most importantly, you want to make sure that you didn't pack anything that you don't need. So it's like you're going to get rid of a lot of stuff, maybe a bit more stuff than you've done already. And then you're really good to go. So you become really, really efficient on your journey, on your new life. It's like having a second chance on life. And it feels like you might be moving as well. All right. All right. Let's see here. This is Masako. Some more. Please scan me. I'd like to excel in my career and finance. All right. So with, again, this is perfect. So Masako, with your career and finance, take a breath in. I don't know if you have breathing issues or your parents have breathing issues. It's that, or your parents might be older, from what I'm saying, and they might have like circulation issues. Not a doctor or anything, but I'm just seeing the burdens of other people on you, okay, out of love or out of respect or all that. All right. All right. So in your case, Masako, just like millions of people out there, billions of people out there, it's like, if I do this, if I have a solid career, then I'll be good. I'll be golden. It doesn't work out that way. right? And you've seen it already. You've excelled in your career. You've excelled in your career. You've excelled in a lot of things from what I'm seeing. But then it's like, shit, it's never good enough. I need to do this. I need to excel in this. So if people like you, you'll go from career to career to career, okay? And go, God, what's wrong? Why can't I get the finances? All right, because if you got the finances, there's a safety mechanism in you. If you had like massive amounts of abundance, you'd feel shortchanged. So again, and this is where people like you get depressed or sometimes like suicidal. It's like, shit, I tried everything, I sacrificed everything, but why am I still this way? You could be a millionaire, and it's like, why is my life this way? Okay. In this case, what you want to do is, again, you think that your career is going to fulfill you. Right? The pattern that you're, that pattern that most people, again, do not understand is that when you achieve something, it magnifies. So if you're feeling unfulfilled, okay, if you're feeling unfulfilled and you achieve something, okay, and the purpose you you wanted to achieve to feel fulfilled, your purpose magnifies because that's the trajectory that you used. So in this case, you'll feel more unfulfilled. So in this case, hon, let's help you create who you are. Have a strong identity of who you are. Again, you're more career related. If I have a career, then I am valuable. I am worthy. It could be a cultural thing. But that's what today's society is coming into. But again, it doesn't work out that way. So in this case, let's start to find value in you, and you literally will start to attract. You will literally start to attract a career that defines who you are. Okay? That's the key. All right. We'll take one more. This is Heather Shannon. Please scan my XIQ. You're actually starting to, I love that. Below scan, by the way, guys. So Heather, for you, you're actually starting to see the incongruencies. So what you've done with XI, really fantastic, is like you're an observer, you're a learner, and what you do is like, oh, that person did this right, this wrong. Or that's what you're coming into. In the past, Heather, you'd go, oh, I like that person. They might be achieved something or they might look good, but then you would copy, Heather, all aspects of themselves and then copy that onto yourself, which is a great gift to have, ability to have. But for you, Heather, basically it's like you'd copy all their bullshit as well. This is the problems with mentorship, by the way. Your mentor is an alcoholic, but he's really good at making a hell of a lot of money. You become really good at making a hell of a lot of money, but then you become alcoholic. So again, you duplicate everything. What you want to do is learn from your mentors, learn the specific aspects of what you want from your mentors. So as your XIQ, you basically now is like going, oh, that person, I know why I'm intrigued by that person. I know why I'm attracted by that person. So you're just what you're doing with your XI, knowledge. As you raise your XIQ, you literally are going, oh, okay, this is how they created success. This is what they did right. This is what they did wrong. And I'm going to take what they did right, learn from what they did wrong. Okay. And then make it a better version for me. Again, so your XIQ level is going to literally skyrocket. 1, 2, 3. Next 2-3 months, you get to start to see the patterns of how people render. It's like, shit, they're not much different because society, again, no matter, people think they're so different. The underlying patterns are all the same. Okay, it's always a destructive pattern. So for you, it's like, oh, you learn so fast, which is really good, Heather, and then you duplicate other people's patterns. So it's a great opera. We do this in some of the hyper meditations that we do. It's like we create success patterns, and then we duplicate what they did right, what they did wrong, and then create it for you. So, by the way, we do have a podcast coming out again, from good to great to limitless, what they did right, what they did wrong, and improve it so for the future. Right? A lot of highly successful individuals out there back in the day, fantastic, they did fantastic work. But what are we going to do different? What are we going to do better for the future? So I'm going to leave you that with that question. Okay, what are you going to do different? What are you going to do better than your parents' society realities? All right, guys. Thanks for joining me again. Like this channel, support this channel by liking it, subscribing to it, all right, and telling your friends about it. All right, guys. Hopefully, we'll see you on the 10 days coming up. Again, if the team can put the link on there once again, that'd be fantastic. As always, guys, notice what you notice, notice the details of what you're noticing. All right, peace.